Okay, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the City of Kingston Tree Commission meeting. Today is April 6th, 2021. My name is Suzanne Cahill. I'm the Planning Director for the City of Kingston, and I will be the organizer for this virtual meeting. Before we begin our meeting, I would like to go over a few guidelines to help navigate the system as efficiently and respectfully as possible. We ask that members of the public and the press remain muted and off camera for the length of the meeting. As the organizer, I reserve the right to mute anyone who unmutes themselves. Commission members and city staff will control their own mute button. As good practice, we ask that you mute yourself if you are not speaking to avoid background noise and feedback. If a commission member or staff wishes to speak, they will raise their hand. As the organizer, I will call on them before they speak by stating the name clearly for our audio listeners. The commission member will then unmute themselves, state their name, and speak clearly, muting after finish. All the meetings are recorded, but video and written transcriptions will be made available to the public on the city website at a later date. We are also live streaming this meeting to the city's YouTube channel. If you have audio issues, please send a text message to the following number, 845-443-0416. Please be aware that phone calls will not be answered during the meeting. The number to text again is 845-443-0416. I want to thank you for your patience, and we begin our meeting at 3:35 p.m. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go around and introduce. We have one guest today, Emily Hauser. She is here representing the CAC of the city in Julie Noble's place. Vince Archer, just raise your hand, please. Vince. Amanda O'Neill. Quinn Dutil. I'm Suzanne Cahill. Absent is Teddy Collins, who just is joining us now. So let's move. Everyone has the, hi Teddy. Everyone has the agenda. We do have some trees to discuss. 325 Albany Avenue. I will. Hang on. Okay, can everybody see that on the screen? Okay, so this is the application. You should have received this application via email. I don't know if you've had a chance to review it and go through it. The applicant has a certified tree arborist service, Limber Tree Services, and they are looking to remove the tree. They are the property owner. And this is the tree. So the complaint obviously is that it is dead, dying. It does have some life left in it, but it is noticeably dead. And I would concur that this tree should be removed. Does the commission have any comments or thoughts?
I would agree that it probably should come down. It's not looking too good. And even if you took those branches off, if it's dying, it's eventually going to have to come down.
Thank you, Teddy. Vince?
This is Vince. I went and took a look at it today, and I concur that it should be removed.
Okay. Amanda?
Yes, I'm in agreement with this.
I'm Queen. You need to unmute yourself, Queen.
Sorry, are you talking to me?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, I couldn't hear. I have some noise in the office. Yeah, no, it seems like it's a danger. Branches are falling already. You know, it doesn't seem like it's gonna make it. It's like so. I mean, yeah.
Can I have a motion from someone on the commission to approve the removal of the tree? I will attach as part of our decision all of the standard conditions that we typically apply, the insurance coverage, protection of the sidewalk area, as well as the street traffic area and so on and so forth. Can I have a motion to that effect from one of the commission members?
This is Vince. I motion that we accept the application for tree removal along with the standard conditions.
Okay,
One thing, it looks like there's space there for another tree, and I assume that falls within the standard conditions.
yes, do you recommend that another tree get replanted? Is there a second on that motion?
I second the motion.
And all in favor, just raise your hands. Okay. Okay. Next one is 20 Crane Street. Give me a second here. Okay, you should have received this copy of this email. This is emails that were going back and forth. The adjacent property owner was looking for the tree to get removed by the utility company. I apologize, these are the way the photos came in. It's obviously a dead tree. It was left by a utility company. They finally did go back and remove their guide wires from it, but they left this in its place. I've asked the DPW. Right now, they do not have the manpower, so I have to submit a letter to the property owner that it is their responsibility under our code. Not something that I'm going to enjoy doing, but we've tried to get the utility companies to assist, and all they effectively did was just remove a wire and left this standing.
Yeah, I looked at it. I looked at that tree. This is Vince. I looked at that today too. It's about 15 foot, just the trunk is standing
Right.
and the bark is shedding. And so I concur with the removal.
Yeah. From what I understand, and I didn't go down there, but from what I understand, that there's an active bee's nest in this as well. And that was
I didn't get that close.
yeah, well, that was a concern of the property, not only the property owner, but also for pedestrians on the street, public safety. Okay. Moving right along, 703.
Susan, I just have a question. Does that mean like the bee can be removed from the tree, or like?
That's what I'm being told. I have not confirmed that there is a colony there, but that is what the adjoining property owner is saying. I don't know if they're honeybees or if they're another, wasp, hornet. I have no idea. It could be paper bees, or wood bees. I don't know.
I went by there today and I didn't see any activity, any bees swarming or anything.
Okay.
So
Oh, okay.
I'm not a bee fan, so I don't try and get too close to them.
No. Yeah, because I know like some beekeeper would be like, they are always looking for new.
Okay. Let me, I don't know if I can find somebody, but if I can find somebody to go take a look at it, I will try first.
Great.
Okay. All right. 7. Okay, this 703 Adele Street is another one. The DPW brought our attention to it. They're concerned about the, obviously, traffic on the road and the utility lines. Again, I apologize for the side angles, but this is definitely on private property. It's not in our purview. We normally will send a letter, and it'll be up to the DPW to follow up on that action because it does overhang. You can see a better view there where it's covered in vines, which obviously makes it heavier. It's on a slope, which is not great, and it is significantly leaning. My suggestion in the letter that I will write is that because there is potential for the utility lines to be taken down, that the property owner, although they are being put on notice, should contact the utility companies directly, and they would possibly assist in the removal. So this is really just more informational for you, since it is out of the purview of the tree commission being on private property. Okay, any questions on that one? Okay, moving right along. Next slide. 218. Okay, 218 Down Street. This again came in from an adjacent property owner. So took a little figuring, trying to figure out who owns the property where this is. This is the tree that is in question. It belongs to this corner lot here, from what, as best I can tell. It is a street tree. DPW got a Q, what they call a Q alert, which is city property owners or individuals can submit to their concerns via a system, and it gets delegated to different departments based on its content. So this went to the DPW, and then it was referred over here to me as a issue for the tree commission to address. I didn't get any better picture than this. I apologize. I had to pull it off of Google Earth. This may be worse than it is showing the picture, because the image capture is from 2016. So it could be worse than it's shown. It does look like possibly, I thought initially Central Hudson may have done a little bit of their handiwork, given the V shape that it's kind of identifying with. But I don't have documentation as to that.
So this is Vince. I rode by there today too. And it looks about the same as in the picture.
Okay.
But there are some
Pruning is an option here, Vince.
Hmm?
Do you think pruning might be an option?
No,
No,
there's a lot of dead
a lot of,
branches
okay,
coming down.
okay. Does anyone else want to take the time to go over and look at it, or?
Yeah, but it's 21 Wiltwick. It's not on Down Street.
Okay,
You have 218 down, but it's not on. There's no trees on 218 down.
okay,
It's on the next street over. It's a cross street.
okay.
Yeah, it seemed like it's the wrong tree for this location.
May have been the right tree until somebody made changes to it.
Right. Okay, so are we in agreement? Anybody else? I'll need a motion to direct the property owner to remove and replace with all the standard conditions.
I'll
Motion-
make a motion that we remove and replace with all the standard conditions. I think it looks pretty bad. And if Vince says, and even if we trimmed it, I think it's going to be unstable, and ultimately
Yes.
it's probably going to have to come down. Might be better to plant another tree sooner rather than
Right. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, we have to make sure like the next tree that they're going to plant is going to be like a smaller, kind
Something
of tree.
suitable for under utility, yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
And-
exactly.
And if, even so, they've got some decent lawn there, which might possibly be a good location also. So it gets off the immediate street, but it could still be considered within 20 feet of the curb, a street tree. Okay, can I have a second on that?
This is Vince, I'll second.
Okay. Everybody in favor, just raise your hands. Okay, great, good, okay. So that takes care of our trees. Moving along on the agenda, we had the question about the meeting schedule. And we don't have a formal meeting schedule for the year. We typically have been meeting on the second Tuesday of the month. And we would continue that, but in past years, we've opted to take the summer months off. Let me get rid of this. In past years, what we've done is we've opted to either combine July and August if we don't have any application, if we do have applications, or what we would do is take the summer months off and then resume again in the fall. And then likewise in November and December, when we typically don't have applications for trees, we would either combine the agendas into one single meeting or not have a meeting at all. So we normally play it by ear. I don't know if any of the commission members have a preference one way or the other, or if we just continue to try and, meet every second Tuesday of the month with a couple of exceptions.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I just wanted to have it set in my calendar ahead of time. And after, when the time can closer, it's okay to change it, but just to have it, that's what I was asking, this way I can just plug it and pencil it into my calendar to make sure I'm available.
Okay. Do you have a preferable time? Would you prefer like a later time in the day or an earlier time in the day, or does this work for you?
Yeah, it works well for me.
Okay. All right. Okay, so we'll just continue forward with the way we've been going. And if we need to change it up, we will do so. Arbor Day. This is going to be our long discussion today. Amanda, do you want to kind of take over the discussion? I did get a proclamation completed, so I have that covered. I do have some questions from Kyla about the tree. Kyla's unable to be here today, so I will have those for you. But maybe you can bring us up to speed as to where we are at.
Well, I've gotten some feedback from some of the teachers that the project's going over really well. The students were very engaged and interested in doing it. The school district reached out, and Suzanne's going to put together a letter, pretty much just a formality that the school district is looking for of who's providing the trees, who's going to do the event. And then they did request that we have smaller trees at one of the two schools. So that was a factor in as well. And Suzanne had told me that, we were hoping to do the sugar maples. I have not heard anything about going over to purchase the trees. Maybe you have some information on that.
Okay.
That we just need to set the event in motion. So I think as soon as that letter comes to me and I can give it to Dr. Sagan, then we can put all of that into effect. Because Buildings and Grounds is ready for us to be able to give them any information for them to help us plant the trees.
Okay, so that was one of the questions. Building and Grounds is going to be prepping, like digging the hole for the tree.
As far as I know, yes. And I just forwarded you those emails. So, I mean.
Okay. Okay, I will have to confirm that, because that obviously will play a role in how the whole thing rolls out the day before the ceremonies.
And it's available, but I set aside a personal day to take off of work to be a part of the two ceremonies myself. So I don't know who else can represent, but I'm stating now that I plan to dedicate that day to the event.
Okay, do you have the times for the schools yet?
That's what we need to roll into motion. I just need the letter so I can move forward with everything.
All right. So we're basically going to go to Adams then and pick out if neither school has really been very firm on a type of tree. We're going to try and stick with the sugar maple since that is our theme. It's the state tree. And we'll go to Adams and tag the trees and then I guess get in touch with you, Tebby, so that Memorial Tree Fund can go and pay for the trees. And we'll work that out. Okay, I'll work that out with both Mark and Tyler today.
When would you like to go to get the trees?
What?
When would you like to go to get the trees?
They usually go the evening before.
Okay.
Okay, they'll go the evening before, they'll get the trees, they'll set the trees. Typically, that's the way it's worked. But we need to know the location on the grounds, obviously, because that will be a big determining factor on the type and the size of the tree. So if they're thinking about, and I kind of need this very quickly, where on their school grounds they want these trees planted. And if they're close by an area where a truck can, a pickup truck can back in, that's great.
Then I'll reach out to find this out tomorrow and tell her that the letter is coming soon.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll do it and I'll email it to you this evening. If you have any questions about it, then you can, obviously reach out to me again. I am going to be out of town for a few days starting Thursday, so I'll do this immediately so you have it. Okay.
I just have a question about like when you're gonna install the tree to make sure you have access to water.
That's a good question. Actually, we would need the school district to commit to not only, providing water for the plant at the time of planting, but also, ongoing maintenance.
Yeah, I think like on a weekly basis to have like somebody, especially like during the summer.
Yep.
Or
Or like
point, I'll make sure I get that in the emails with a
yeah,
letter.
or if they don't have a direct access, actually to bring like some buckets, because it's nice
Right.
to have like when you dig up to have like the pit really wet. It's gonna help the tree tremendously to start up.
Amanda, is there one teacher at each school that is a contact for you at all?
The only teacher that's contacted me about it told me how he was going to roll out the assignment, which he's actually doing this week, and that's my son's teacher.
Okay.
Because he asked a question about it, and
Okay.
so he's tying it into finishing The Outsiders actually with the Robert Frost poem. So he's kind of linking it together, which I thought was pretty interesting and creative.
Okay.
Sue, I have another quick question. When we plant the tree, are there going to be soil amenities for the planting as well as mulch? Is that coming from Adams as well?
We'll have to have some amenities, yes.
And then
yeah,
I think the gator bags would be the best bet instead of trying to bucket water there.
Right. Okay, well, we don't have a huge budget. That's the problem. I'll have to look at that.
I know that Tebby had indicated was what, $500 to $700 a tree? Was that the?
No, it's 500 to 700 total is what the Memorial Tree.
Oh, for both trees.
Right. For both.
Okay.
Right.
So that would probably be a smaller caliber tree.
Right. Yeah, they're not going to be
Maybe,
huge trees, but yeah, because we're doing two.
okay.
And that seems to be what they wanted anyway, trees that weren't going to get so large as well.
Okay.
Also, the sugar maple has a
Maple will get pretty big.
fairly large.
I mean, there are some other maples that we could plant that are smaller.
Ne-
There are flowering, there's some nice flowering trees that we could plant. Again, a lot of it's going to be determined by where on their property they want to plant and what constraints we're dealing with.
And I would guess they know where there's underground utilities or anything in that area. They know that from DigSafe or SafeDig, whatever it is.
Yeah, well, if there's any indication that we need to call, like if it's outside in a lawn area away from a building, I would doubt that there's any underground utilities. We can call underground. But that, again, that's a time thing. So I'd need to know in advance.
All right.
Knowing the location is probably really critical right now, Amanda. If you can have them even just on a small scale map located and then just get that to me, that would be great.
Then I will push forward with that being number one priority and
Yeah.
email. If you get that letter to me tonight, then I will email tonight, and I'm sure she'll get to it tomorrow morning when she comes in.
Okay, all right, great.
And who's going to go to Adams or wherever?
Mark DJ usually goes.
Oh, Mark's going to do it?
Mm-hmm.
Because if he needs help, I'm
What?
willing to, if he needs help, I'm willing to help him.
Okay, all right. I'll let him know that. Okay. So
Okay.
he has offered to do it. He's offered to do the plant, help with the planting the evening before. Pick them up
Yes.
and
Yep.
do all of that like he would normally do. So,
Okay.
okay.
I offered to help too, but he didn't, he didn't
You know, Mark. We all know
Yeah.
Mark.
respect it. So I don't know if he needs help. And for both schools, did both schools want smaller trees or did you just say one in particular?
Just the one.
It was just Bailey due to property restraints.
Okay.
Excuse me. They said that Miller had tons of area. So it really just came down to the property.
Okay. So if we know the location before Mark actually goes to tag the trees, then we can pick out appropriate sections.
Okay, so based on the location, then they may not be sugar maples, is what I'm hearing.
Yes,
And
which is okay. I mean, I know, obviously we have to work within certain parameters, but
Sure.
we wanted to do the sugar maple only because that was the theme that we chose, barring, the lack of one from the state this year.
mhm. But did they specify when they said a smaller tree? Did they mean smaller initially or smaller throughout its life?
Smaller throughout its life.
Yeah, I took it at maturity, smaller. at
And
maturity.
Stan had recommended, possibly just switching to something like a Japanese ornamental maple instead, that when it gets so large. And that was a nice idea. So that's maybe a possibility to look at. And they're very beautiful in color.
But they're typically more expensive than
Yeah.
probably double the price. But I guess we'll find out.
Well, we work within our, Okay, so I guess we're still on track with the poetry contest. That's gonna be the other thing to coordinate the kids to get there. I know it's not going to be obviously a ceremony open to the general public or the entire student body population because of COVID, but hopefully we can do that live streaming so that the students will be able to, watch or participate that way. And we will have some certificates in that for the winners. Hopefully they will be able to attend, in person with social distancing with their parents. So I guess that's still the goal, correct? Teddy.
Are we supposed to attend or are we not allowed? Are we going to divide up and a few go in the morning and a few in the afternoon? I mean, it'd be nice. I don't know how many people would be allowed, but it might be nice for at least a few tree commission people to be there if
Yeah,
possible.
well, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think we should at least have a couple of members um, at each ceremony. Obviously, Amanda will be there as primary coordinator. I can ask that question in the letter. I think how many commission members would they want to, or would they feel is appropriate? I mean, we're not a large group. We're a fairly small group. So, you know, if we had 3 or 4 of us there, I don't think that would be, you know, overwhelming. And it's still within the parameters of the guidelines. So,
And since it's outside, you know, it's
Right.
probably
Yeah,
a lower risk factor. But
I can go to both, just
great.
either or both. So, 'cause
and I can do the same.
Okay, good.
and I'm vaccinated, whether that makes any difference, I don't know.
Yes, it makes a difference for you.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm safe, but I don't,
Yes.
you know, if like everyone who goes to it is vaccinated, that may make it, you
yeah.
know, more amenable. But if there are a lot of people that are not vaccinated, then they may want fewer people.
I'll be fully vaccinated at that point too, with the 2 weeks. I go next Monday for the second.
Let's do.
Yep. So I'm fully vaccinated.
I think
Okay.
the, you know, there's still quite a bit of time, and so I think that there's, you know, every day there's so many more getting vaccinated, which I think is a great thing. But anyway,
Yeah, no, actually, this is going to be the day I will be vaccinated, kind of like a little far away, so I don't think I'll be able to attend, unfortunately.
okay. Anything else on that, Amanda, that you need from any of us?
Other than the letter, no, but I will, you know, forward the whole group any information that I get back. So if any other questions are sparked, this way we can, you know, work as a collective, even though we're not going to have another meeting.
Okay, if you feel that there is, you know, a quick meeting, we can certainly set a Zoom meeting up like this. You know, it takes no time to do it, to set it up. And we can talk that way. I think it might be easier rather than phone, you know, emails or phone calls. I'm happy to do that. Okay. All right. If there's nothing else, then I'm just going to move along on the agenda. We just had the other one other item, and that was the email that went around from Greg Krupp in engineering. He wanted to start to bring the tree commission's attention to the project that he is working on Flatbush and Foxborough. Just to remind you, that email went out on March 12th. It had the link on it to the Engage Kingston site. I don't know if any of you have had an opportunity to look at that yet. I've spoken with Greg, and he will be attending a meeting, hopefully in the next month's meeting with us to just go through it. But in the meantime, he is looking for feedback, and you can go to that site and you can individually submit feedback and questions. He's trying to get do as much outreach as he possibly can. So if you have not, I really encourage you to do that. Do so.
But I think that's a good beneficial approach to Flatbush Avenue there, because there's a lot of foot traffic, so they're putting in new sidewalks.
Right.
But there's several trees. There's a tree cluster after the old Armory, which is now a police training center, that I'm not sure how they're going to do that, but
Okay.
it's a good idea.
Well, look at the site. He's offered to, you know, have you give him a call if you want to talk about if you have a specific question. You know, he'll make himself available. This is what he's trying to do, is get, you know, your input as early as possible into this project. as it's going through the design stages. Okay.
Okay.
Sue, I didn't hear the deadline for that. What was the deadline?
He did not give us a deadline. I don't know if there's something, I didn't notice on the Engage Kingston.
Would it help to have him come to the next meeting so everyone can talk them together?
That's what we're looking to have him do. I didn't want to ask him to this meeting because of Arbor Day, so.
And by then, we can have some time to take a look at the Engage
Yep.
Kingston site.
Okay. That is all that I had. I don't know if anybody else has anything. Amanda?
There was talk in the last meeting about emailing out a list for us to kind of split up, and hopefully I didn't miss the list getting emailed about trees that were been removed for us to go and kind of case and see if the person had either trimmed or removed the trees.
Right, I was going to wait till after Arbor Day was over so that people had some more free time. So that will be going out next month probably. And a couple I did notice because I sent some second notices around to some of them that were really bad. And I have noticed 2 of them have come down since that second notice went out, which is good because they were really ones that made me very nervous. And we got a lot of complaints. Emily, you had your hand raised before.
Yeah, I do have a question. The open space plan calls for planting 1,000 trees a year or something like that. It's a pretty large number. And I was wondering if you are, if anything's been developed so that the CAC and the Tree Commission can work together to make sure those trees are counted. So for instance, the one that's at Miller won't be counted because it's not in the city of Kingston. But the one at Bailey would count. And then I assume if they're street trees, we can count them like the ones that you just talked about, cutting down and replanting. So is there any tracking that's already been done or happens?
We do try and track on an annual basis when we file the forms for the Tree City USA and the Growth Award recognition. The trees that, for example, the ones that are planted as part of infrastructure projects are included in those counts. This year, we do have some money in our budget, obviously not enough for, nearly enough for 1,000 trees. I think that's a really high attainable number, possibly not attainable.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I don't think it has to be city paid for trees.
Right.
So if a homeowner is replacing a tree on the terrace, for instance, are you tracking those?
If they are planting trees within the public right of way, we should be notified. There is a form that they have to submit. And the reason we ask for that form is so that we can be assured that it's a tree that's suitable for the location that they want to plant in. Also that the location is a suitable location. And we don't want someone to be planting a tree too close to an intersection, or that ultimately would become an impairment to visibility. So that's why we do that. But if someone is planting on their property, their private property, we don't have a mechanism to track that.
But if you get so for the form that they have to file, that's an indication that they're planting a tree.
Right, and that's only for situations
The
where
right of way.
it's in a public right of way.
Right.
If we do a site plan in front of the planning board, we can get a tree count there. But like if you wanted to plant 1 or 2 trees in your backyard, we would have no way of.
Yeah, I'm not asking you for that, Sue. I'm just trying to figure out if there's already a way that you're counting the trees that could be part of the open space plan metrics.
Right. Here is the inventory, the street tree inventory that did include parks. And as we are identifying them, we are trying to keep that inventory up to date. So the ones that are being cut down are identified, and ones that are being replaced or planted new are identified.
Okay.
Okay.
you.
Anything else? Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. And I will call the meeting to a close at 4:14. Can I have a motion to that, for that? From somebody?
A motion to close the meeting.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Green, okay. All right, so we will officially close. I will be in touch by email with more information about the actual Arbor Day. Amanda will be obviously in touch. If you need another meeting, again, please call and let me know. We'll do that. We'll organize that. And otherwise, I guess that's it.
I got one quick question.
Sure.
Are there funds in the budget for the mulch or gator bag or any soil amenities for the new
And I'm
trees?
sure we'll find some money.
Okay,
You can reach out some things from here and there. Yeah.
Yeah, the Memorial Tree Fund, I think it's specifically for trees or tree,
Not for the amenities. I got that.
not the amenities. So
Okay.
unless we would request that.
All right.
And I have a question. The Memorial Tree Fund is discussing the possibility of having some sort of grant money. I think I mentioned it to you. We only meet twice a year, so it takes a while to get these things done. And we just wrote something up. But can we when we ask someone after they take if we say, you have to take down this dangerous tree and we recommend you replant, can we actually compel or require them to do that? Or is that just a suggestion?
We can't. We can only suggest, because
That's what I thought.
we talked about this a while ago at one of our commission meetings. And the reason we decided not to compel people is because we recognize the cost of the removal of the tree. It can be quite costly on a property owner. And, particularly right now, we know that there are a lot of property owners that are very strapped, and, adding an additional, it can be upwards of a few $1,000s.
Right.
When you're talking some of these larger trees. That's a big expense to throw at a person and then say, oh, by the way, we want you to plant another one. They kind of are like, yeah, right.
Well,
So-
I noticed the one tree that was on the list today, they had a bid for $1,100. So I don't know I forget
Yeah.
which tree it was, but
That was the one on Albany Avenue. And it's not as big of a tree, but I mean, I guess, it's all, who the company is and where the tree is. If there's a lot of wires that are involved, I think that obviously increases the cost as well. So. Okay. All right. Now everybody enjoy the rest of the sunshiny day. And Amanda, I'll be sending you something tonight. Okay.